Our Turkish friends, fellow Australians, our New Zealand brothers and sisters, veterans and men and women in uniform who continue to carry on the mantle of the original Anzacs. Friends, first, on behalf of the Australian people, I wish to thank our Turkish hosts for continuing to care for those left behind now almost 100 years ago, and for allowing us each year to commemorate the battles fought on this sacred ground and the sacrifices made here. Sacrifices that followed the first landing near Aribanu in the pre-dawn chill. Landing in confusion, a tragedy in the making, expecting a gentle slope and finding steep cliffs, expecting a swift victory, instead finding a determined enemy. By the end of that dreadful first day, over 16,000 Anzacs had landed, with around 2,000 losing their lives or being wounded on these shores, in these hills, the gullies above us, or in the surrounding waters. So began the calamity that was to be the Anzac experience here on the peninsula until the final withdrawal on December 20. What followed on the Western Front was in the end an even greater tragedy. But here, where the AIF fought its first campaign, Australia suffered 28,000 casualties, with some 8,700 dead. Our New Zealand comrades suffered close to 7,500 casualties, with some 2,700 dead. The fighting was so fierce that during the campaign that half of the Anzac dead have no known graves. Our Turkish adversaries, underestimated at first and defending their homeland, were the victors here on the peninsula. It was a costly triumph, with more than 250,000 Turkish wounded and 87,000 dead. Confronting the Anzacs on that first day, Mustafa Kemal, commander of the 19th Turkish Division at Gallipoli, famously ordered his troops, "I do not order you to attack, I order you to die. In the time which passes until we die, other troops and commanders can come and take our place." How difficult it is today, in the peace and serenity of the dawn's early light, to contemplate the epic nature and ferocity of the battles here in 1915. To imagine, let alone understand, the enormity of the suffering, loss and sacrifice, or the struggle simply to survive, to get through each day, the explosions of bombs, the cracks of rifle fire, the dysentery, the lice, the smell of death, the extremes of weather. They were ardent believers in the nation and the empire. They came here on an adventure to do the right thing. To some, it was a lark. There were rogues and rascals, larrikins, good men, rich and poor. They were grandfathers, fathers, sons, brothers and husbands. And they came here from the other side of the world, from our cities and from the back of Burke and beyond. Yet so many never returned, leaving families bereft and empty, with thousands their whereabouts forever known only to God, but here, near us now. Yet despite the slaughter, there were acts of kindness and humanity. On the 24th of May, after a brief armistice, Lieutenant Nevitt wrote how he farewelled the Turkish soldier he had been talking to. "Goodbye, old chap, good luck. Smiling may you go, and smiling may you come again," was the Turkish reply. Fierce enemies during battle, there was too a recognition on both sides of the courage and sacrifice of the other. Captain Cuthbert Finlay recalled a brief lull in the fighting at Quinn's Post in November 1915. After hearing a thud and no explosion, Finlay carefully approached a package that had been thrown into the trench. I picked up the parcel. It contained cigarettes, and written underneath one of the boxes was the following inscription, written in French: "Take with pleasure, our heroic enemies, send some milk." After this, the Turks and ourselves intermingled in no man's land for about a quarter of an hour, and then Finis was announced. A few shots fired towards the sky, and everything went on as usual. The histories now written give us ample vision of the disaster that was the Gallipoli campaign. Yet, although it was so dreadful, it has become central to our nation's story, a hallmark in defining our nationhood, of what was important in terms of mateship, service, sacrifice, courage and commitment, of showing our strength in adversity and highlighting the selfless acts of bravery of so many. These craggy ridges, these ravines, this countryside, this sacred ground is the final home of so many souls. And for those who survived and those left at home, it remained the cause of ongoing grief. As Dowell O'Reilly wrote in The Mother, "He was all I had to give. Now life has nothing left for me, for my heart lies in a nameless grave on far Gallipoli. Why should I dry my tears or talk of victory, for my heart lies dead in a nameless grave on far Gallipoli. God guard all mothers' sons fighting for liberty, but my heart lies dead in a nameless grave on far Gallipoli." Those lost Anzacs, those sons, now rest forever safely here alongside those they fought, at peace together, lest we forget.